is your intro. 3 and... I'll do it slowly so you can think of rhymes.
Alright. I'm sick and sweaty, I just want to go. There's food in the kitchen while we wait for snow. It's vaguely winter themed this week, but only 'cause I'm ill. I haven't got enough tutoring to even pay the bills. So give to the Patreon. I like the change in tone. There's no rhyme for that. That's the end.
Patreon.com/ShameCity.
Can I go and be ill now, please? Oh, thank God.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Hello and welcome to episode 56 of That's a Shame. I'm Isaac, and joining me as always, directly opposite, gazing at his phone, texting while the show starts, I noticed.
Messaging.
Yeah, okay. I'm not old. I get the difference. It's Declan. How are you?
Sending a little email.
Oh, a Morse code. Clever.
Yes,
I
that's
bet there's
me.
a Morse code app, do you? Where you can
Probably.
just like send push notification Morse code to each other.
God, that would be
I'm
cumbersome.
going to get it and learn about it.
You're going to make it.
Anyway, look, I asked how you are, so it's only polite that you respond.
I am very well.
Well, don't lie about it, because I can see you
Look,
straight across from me. You
I'm
look like you're
ill
at the
as
edge,
fuck.
the edge of existence. Looks like you've seen the very peak of the universe and realised that you'll never reach it.
I'm so ill that from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. this morning, I watched an episode of Golden Balls. That's
Now-
how ill I am.
Golden Balls, for those who don't know, is a British game show ostensibly presented by, you remember Jigsaw, the murderer in the Saw films? It's
You leave-
his body.
You leave poor Jasper Carrot out of this.
It's not his fault, though. He looks exactly like famous cinematic mass murderer Jigsaw, but he simply does.
He does.
It's a game show, but only in the sense that, I don't know, it has the kind of visual grammar of a game show, but the actual game itself takes maybe 40% of the show to explain, to the point where I think it's more an exercise in, like, can you understand and follow these instructions rather than any game element.
Definitely. It all seems to be based mostly on more guesswork than even Deal or No Deal. And
Less reward.
And a lot of bullshitting.
But there are some golden balls, as the name suggests.
There are. And it feels like it was a show written by a kind of 14-year-old teenager just to get Jasper Carrot to say, just drop your balls in there, or come on then, show us your balls.
Perfect, like
or,
daytime TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
Euphemism generation.
Exactly.
Smutty Jasper Saw Carrot.
you know, you can get pre-water shared dirty jokes on there. Yeah.
And then you get a little highlight reel on YouTube. I mean, this has never happened for Jasper because he's a man who looks so close to a serial killer that it wouldn't. But like for Bradley Walsh on The Chase,
Definitely.
there's all those like they put in questions that are going to make him laugh, and then that'll be going around Mum's net for
he's
months.
laughing and oh God.
God,
and then
do you
the
remember that
Chaser's
time he had to
laughing.
say,
Fanny.
Oh God, the Chaser wasn't happy. Now we've never mentioned the Chase on this show, have we?
We might have briefly alluded
Okay,
to it.
because I just want to again dive into the fact that the way it works is, I mean, it's bullshit. Let's put that out there early.
No.
No, it is.
No.
No, but it is.
No.
I know it's something close to your heart that you'd.
And it is just good.
It's just not. Though.
But you're very wrong.
Anyway, we'll leave that to one side. But what I want to get to is the fact that the way it works is there are people who inhabit the role of the Chaser, much like 007. It's a code name that can be passed on.
Indeed.
Maybe that's not what 007's like, and we're supposed to believe that Sean Connery and Pierce Brosnan are the same person.
Are the same guy.
In which case, you're not fooling anyone. Idiots.
They really bucked the trend with bringing Judi Dench in.
It was nuts. But yeah, so they have these. The Chaser can be any one of about 5 people.
5.
And you seem to know them all by first name, but I only know them by the epithets that they've presumably been given rather than
Yeah.
had chosen themselves.
The Beast.
The Beast, now he's just a fat man.
He's an enormously fat man who's married to his cousin.
No, is he? They keep that on the down low. That man made out of only fleshy squares is married to his cousin.
Yeah.
That's atrocious. Isn't that illegal?
I think it's like,
It's like a
half
second cousin.
or second cousin.
Some amount of removed.
Only like the minimal amount.
Why
of
do you know
removal. It's like it's just if you watch The Chase, you know.
He's
You
bringing it
gotta know.
up on The
Mark
Chase.
Lebet. No. You just
Does he try and do
These
that thing,
things
where
get-
like a question loosely relates to an anecdote that they just want to
and
tell?
this is like how I married my own cousin.
What do you mean, Andy, whatever your name is? There was a question about Harry Potter.
His name's Mark. Mark Lebet.
I like that. That sounds fancier than he is, though. So there's them. There's him, the fat beast, or whatever he's
There's
called.
the governess.
She looks like, you remember those two women who used to go around kind of painfully, aggressively cleaning your house for you?
How clean is your house?
Yeah. Not
Kim
you.
and Aggie.
That's them. She looks like if both of them sort of ran at each other really fast in the Hadron Collider.
I think that actually she looks more like what happened to the Trunchbull after the events of Matilda. She
Really
just
took
fell
the
into
wind
this
out of her
spiral.
sails. But I like that mythology because it implies that she's actually a really good, like she should be head because she knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The conceit is that they're really good at quizzes, so that's all.
Yeah.
And they chase you. I was disappointed to learn only metaphorically around the studio because like each time you get one right, you move away. When you get one wrong, they move closer.
Yeah. There's the Cinnamon.
Yeah. Now, Cinnamon is where I start to question the naming process because he wears a white suit.
His name is Paul Sinner.
Okay, but spelt like a sinner,
No, I presume
not.
no.
Well,
But that's
it's-
only based on a mildly racist.
He's a man of Asian descent, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also gay,
Right.
a failed-ish comedian.
He's a
who
comedian.
seems to spend
I mean,
a
he's
lot
not,
of his
is he?
time getting high at university, like parties.
Why do you know so much about all these people?
Look, this
Are
stuff
you like
gets
trying
shared.
to? Look, where are you
On
in little
the
secret
internet.
groups? I've been on the internet and I've
You-
heard fuck
you've been
all
nowhere.
about the Chase in like decades. Okay, so Cinnamon. Now it's like he didn't get the memo of what everyone else's naming conventions were because they are very like they're like if a kid was coming up with them. The Beast because he's big, the Governess because she looks kind of like a malicious aunt figure.
Yeah.
The Cinnamon, what do you think he's trying to get across? Because if I hadn't seen him, and indeed they have like silhouettes for them before they come out, I would have pictured a kind of debonair, like he'd flash you a smile across the casino and your knees would go weak. That sort of vibe.
He's very much the opposite of that.
He's not like that.
No, not like that.
Doesn't quite have the charisma that the name would imply.
There's the new one who I can't remember. The Vixen. That's her.
The Vixen,
Yep.
right? Is she a kind of softcore porn looking area?
Yes.
Or is she a
if you're into the
fox?
soft core kind of BBW
Oh, right. I see.
porn.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
And then
Now, last but not least, and where I begin to take serious issue with Bradley Walsh, who I'm sure is well-meaning in his endeavours, he's
Best
put a
friends
Christmas
with
album out.
Stormzy.
That's lovely, isn't it? That's heartwarming.
He was the best-selling debut artist of last year.
Bradley
Bradley
Walsh.
Walsh.
Are you joking?
Nope. He was
Why?
the best-selling. He released an album last year, and it was the best.
So this is his second album this year.
It was the best-selling debut album.
Officially
last
now
year.
got like a music career.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. He's a man who...
But who would you prefer releasing records, him or Alexander Armstrong?
Oh, true. Yeah, Alexander Armstrong singing songs, trying to avoid where the camera is so that he doesn't look directly at it. It's a real shame. What is Bradley Walsh's origin story? Was he in EastEnders? Something like that? He's one of these people who's just existed on TV for our entire lives.
Yeah.
But always like...
I've just always recognised his face wherever it was.
and his little laugh, he does this really silent, scrunched up face, like horrid noise. Well, hats off to him.
But you get off his train.
When it is revealed that the last of the characters, the Chasers, the eponymous titular Chasers,
Is a bald,
man,
bespectacled,
gentleman, tall, he's got
Black.
presence to him. Oh, what was that one? He's a black.
black.
Yeah.
He is black.
And he's called the Dark Destroyer. Now, I mean,
Now, I like
I
to
don't know
think
where to start.
that it's because he always wears a black suit.
but you know that it's
But
not.
I do know that it's a borderline race crime.
Do you think it's just someone who's like high up in production who has been kind of signing off on game shows since like the 30s, since like Bullseye was but a dream in that horrible cow's mind when darts were barely even invented? And he's just like, yeah, no, we'll call him, what is it? Black chap, Dart Destroyer, easy. He's just like got a list of them that he matches up.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shame, isn't it?
It is just quite questionable. But, works for him.
I guess he hasn't complained.
No.
We would assume we'd have heard about it if he didn't, accept it as a concept. So fair play to him.
Yeah.
That's our Chase roundup for the week. So
See you
come
next
back
week.
next time. What are we talking
Tipping
about?
point.
Tipping point.
No, we haven't got
It's
time.
just an arcade game. Why is it on
We haven't got
TV?
time. Look, we'll do a whole episode about it.
Because have we got
Lots
content?
of got content. Hell of a show.
Is it going to be a hell of a show?
show.
We've really reversed in position because my confidence in the show has really plummeted. So I just don't say it anymore.
No, well, we've got.
Let's
some
tease what
stuff.
we have. Like if we're on the radio,
This
people
is like stuff. This is stuff we've promised.
okay. This is
That's
our
probably going to be the title, really. Like stuff we
stuff
promised.
we promised.
Because this is all things that we said we were going to give to you over the last month and then never did.
It's been a busy month.
Yes, but also we just do get distracted quite easily.
Yeah, well, there's that as well. So we have like a base level distraction that's about 65%.
This 10 minutes on the chase might have slightly clued you into that.
But
if
then
you
on
haven't
top
picked up
of that,
already.
it's like coming towards Christmas. We've got all this palaver with the climate going on.
Oh, this
You know
part of
how
the
it is.
climate.
Oh, it's been
I think
difficult.
that was the title of
Al
Jordan
Gore's
Monbiot's latest piece. Was palaver with the climate.
Somebody have a check. See if she's doing all right. But here we are. We're going to bring to you today. Content includes a Danielle update.
A Danielle update, indeed. We
Yeah.
also have Harry Potter written by a bot.
Good. Now, I'm sure because you guys, I imagine you listen to this and then you just shut off for a week. You won't have seen that,
2 weeks.
everyone's been tweeting it. It's been on
Yeah.
Facebook. It's kind of
Been
been and
reported
gone.
in every single newspaper,
Yeah.
including, seemingly most notably at the top of Google search engine, the Indian Times.
Wow, okay.
They love it.
That's an SEO victory. So here we are, bang up to date. I've got an update on that whole revenge thing.
Oh, yes.
We'll get into. And also just a quick tutoring thing, because it would be remiss of us not to bring tutoring
into
into it
everything.
somehow. Yeah,
Yeah.
crowbar that in. Where to begin is the question, really.
Well, shall I start with this Harry Potter thing?
I think you
Because-
may as well, because it's chronologically so very
Redundant.
late that we may as well just whisk through it.
Well, I think that we did mention that the basic concept is that I don't know who it is,
Uh-huh.
but somewhere
person with a robot.
somewhere working with bots,
Yeah.
trained a bot to read all of the Harry Potter books,
Yeah.
and then trained it to speak, and then reminded it of all the Harry Potter books. and then
Trained it
went-
to speak.
Yeah,
It did not speak this.
it spoke it. It said
Such
it
an old
aloud.
man. And then the bot got its fountain pen, probably a digital one, and it wrote it down, but not on normal paper like you and me.
No cyber
Grid
parchment.
paper.
And then, and yeah, they reminded it of the Harry Potter books. So I remember all those.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, all right, here we go. And they went, now give us your
Give us
best
one.
shot.
I love stuff like this. The example that lives in my life most often is Subreddit Simulator.
Yes.
Which is one of the previous admins of Reddit, whose name is something like Demours, something like that. He's a like software genius, and he made this subreddit that just has bots which read through the data of all posts on other big subreddits and then just post their own every so often. And it comes up with some of the most brilliant like parody.
There's
It's
some
just
incredible
beyond what
satire.
anyone could
Yeah.
do. It's like whenever we play Cards Against Humanity, which we
Oh, yeah.
used to do a bit at uni but then hadn't for years. Do people still play it?
Yeah, I
Broadly
think so,
speaking,
yeah.
it's still going strong. Oh yeah, because they bought all that Trump war
Yeah.
area. So they must be doing all right. But whenever we do, Declan introduced me to a fantastic rule / experiment in exactly this, which is that you have however many people are in the room and want to play, plus one is your players, and the extra slot is for our friend Rando.
Your Ando. Yeah.
And what Rando does is he's just dealt cards like everyone else, and he doesn't exercise a lot of agency in the choice. It's just whatever he happens to have at the top, you take as the card for the answer. And because in Cards Against Humanity, the whole point is that you don't know whose cards are whose. So often it ends up being like, oh, this one's the winner. And then a kind of blank look around the circle where everyone goes, oh, it's Rando! And he destroys every
absolutely
match.
decimated us.
It's just like not even close there. He's got a 300% card increase.
What I like about it, though, is that it proves our notion about Cards Against Humanity, that it is always about the randomness and the surprise and the surrealism.
Yeah, it's absurdity,
rather than, have you got the card that most closely matches the question?
People who think it's a quiz are people that I don't want to look in the eye.
Or people who think it's about, can you give the crudest answer?
Yeah. That's just a reflection on humour generally, though. Most people are very, very poor at it.
Very, very stupid, yes.
But here we are. So a robot's written a Harry Potter. It's got one... I've only heard the title. I have actually diligently avoided looking at any of it. It's been... People have sent it to me multiple times. I had to be like, ha, good. That was a fun read. I liked the bit with Harry in it. Just to pretend to them that I'd...
Imagine if he wasn't in it.
I'd have embarrassed myself there, wouldn't I? But so I only know the title, but the title alone is enough of a joke that the rest is just bonus.
Harry Potter and the portrait of what looks like a large pile of ash.
It's so great. Imagine J.K. Rowling, 80 years from now, she's being kept alive artificially because of all the money that she's just, I don't know, spending on robots to fan her blood around her veins.
Yeah.
Made myself feel
Why
ill.
have you done that?
I don't know. But 10 years earlier, she'll have given in. The integrity, what little is left now, Fantastic
Jesus
Beasts,
Christ,
has faded to dust. And she's just churning them out. Harry Potter and the time I saw a cigarette in the mirror. Harry Potter and the bus that I would have caught if I'd gone a bit faster, but I didn't, so I got the next one. Harry Potter and the portrait of what looks like a pile of ash. It's just so great. The fact that there's an unsurety in your title.
Yeah.
The portrait of what? Well, I mean, it looks like a pile of ash.
Can't be certain, but there's not a lot else that it looks like.
It suggests that that's the major narrative tension as well. Harry thought it was a pile of ash, but was it? And that's going to motivate somehow an entire book. So let's dive in. I'm desperate to hear it.
Chapter 13.
Will you be reading it in a robo voice?
No.
Good.
I will attempt to do some poor accents.
Oh, good.
Some Harry Potter PlayStation 1 accent. Chapter 13.
Good starting point.
The Handsome One. You might enjoy the nice little illustration there.
Oh, I really didn't.
The castle grounds snarled with a wave of magically magnified wind. The sky outside was a great black ceiling which was full of blood. The only sounds drifting from Hagrid's hut were the disdainful shrieks of his own furniture.
It's like Beauty and the Beast gone wrong.
Yeah.
Get me out, Hagrid! Take your big fat hand off
being
me.
a dishwasher.
Hagrid doesn't have a dishwasher.
He definitely does.
He's sitting on all the technology.
Yeah.
He's actually like a little computer whiz.
He goes round to Arthur Weasley's and pretends not to know what any of it is. Arthur Weasley's shoving rubber ducks into a toaster. And
That's nice, Arthur.
It looks like that's.
I'll go home and check on my Bitcoin portfolio. What was that, Hagrid? I'll go and rubber magic owl or something.
Leathery no, sorry. I almost missed the best sentence. So, were the disdainful shrieks of his own furniture. Magic. It was something that Harry Potter thought was very good.
That should be the tagline of the whole series. That's magic.
That's basically the plot.
That would be what they'd say at the end of the advert for the Harry Potter box set in about 20 years.
It's something that he thought was
really
decent.
Good.
Leathery sheets of rain lashed at Harry's ghost as he walked across the grounds towards the castle. Ron was standing there and doing a kind of frenzied tap dance.
Oh no.
He saw Harry and immediately began to eat Hermione's family.
Well.
Ron's Ron shirt was just as bad as Ron himself.
Ron's Ron shirt. He's wearing a shirt with his own
and
self on
it's
it.
just as bad as he is.
That's a great thing to say about a person.
If you two can't clump happily, I'm going to get aggressive, confessed the reasonable Hermione.
That's like confess to the reasonable is exactly what we've been talking about people, kids mostly, overdoing said.
Oh, well, let's not limit it to kids.
Everyone.
Yeah, people who write. What about Ron magic? Offered Ron. To Harry, to Harry, Ron was a loud, slow, and soft bird. Harry did not like to think about birds.
Fair.
Death Eaters are on top of the castle, Ron bleated, quivering. Ron was going to be spiders. He just was.
Don't question it, he just was.
He wasn't proud of that, but it was going to be hard to not have spiders all over his body after all is said and done.
When in Harry Potter does it say, after all is said and done?
Probably
What a
everywhere.
cumbersome phrase.
Look, said Hermione, obviously there are loads of Death Eaters in the castle. Let's listen in on their meetings.
That's surprisingly, reasonable. That is in character.
She's the reasonable Hermione.
Yeah, well, it's worked well.
The three complete friends
We're complete friends.
zapped onto the landing outside the door to the castle
I
roof.
remember that spell, zap.
They also legged it, but witches are not climbing. Ron looked at the doorknob and then looked at Hermione with searing pain. I think it's closed, he noticed.
Ron's a fucking idiot in this story.
Are you ready? Locked, said Mr. Staircase, the shabby-robed ghost.
Mr. Staircase, the shabby-robed ghost. Is it shabby-robed hyphenated?
It is
That
indeed.
makes my day. Shabby-robed.
Isn't it amazing that a computer
Came up with
the
that concept.
character of Mr. Staircase, the shabby
Who would play him in the pantheon of great British actors that have been in the Harry Potter world?
Oh, wait, ones that haven't been in there.
Yeah, someone who's not been in the films yet.
Someone who's sort of dreadfully overlooked to play.
I'm
Mr.
thinking of
Staircase.
actually it could be an any age role because the shabbiness can come from the character and the costume rather than the age.
I'm thinking maybe we get Damian Lewis in. Give him
a
some
shabby
mad
robed
hair.
ghost.
Tom Hardy.
As Mr. Staircase. Tom Hardy is Staircase. He could have a spin-off. Fantastic Ghosts.
Fantastic ghosts and the staircases you find them in. They looked at the door, screaming about how closed it was, and asking it to be replaced with a small orb. The password was "Beef Women!" Hermione cried.
Oh, that's a shame.
Harry, Ron, and Hermione quietly stood behind a circle of Death Eaters who looked bad.
They did, that's fair.
I think it's okay if you like me, said one Death Eater. Thank you very much, replied the other. The first Death Eater confidently leaned forward to plant a kiss on his cheek.
Ah,
Oh, well done, said the second as his friend stepped back again. All the other Death Eaters clapped politely.
that's lovely.
Then they all took a few minutes to go over the plan to get rid of Harry's magic. Took a few minutes to go over the plan.
Right, so just to
guys, so
recap.
after the kissing, what we need to do... Harry could tell that Voldemort was standing right behind him. He felt,
Wow.
this is such a great piss take of the novels, he felt a great overreaction. Harry tore his eyes from his head and threw them into the forest. Voldemort raised his eyebrows at Harry, who could not see anything at the moment.
That's really clever that it knows that it tore its eyes out and therefore he can't see.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to doubt that this is a robot. If it is, this robot is unpleasantly clever. He could be writing bestsellers now.
Maybe he is.
Maybe people do that. Maybe robots can be.
I hope so. I'd love to read books by robots.
Yeah, okay. Let's do it.
Okay. Done.
That's my New Year's
If you don't want to do it, we
resolution.
don't have to do it.
Damien Green just resigned from the cabinet.
Good.
After investigation finds he breached UK ministerial code. Don't say we don't keep you up to date.
What an investigation. Anyone who just looked at him.
Anyone breaking some
Yep,
cut?
yep.
Yeah, no.
Oh, there he is,
kick him
Damien.
out.
Voldemort, you're a very bad and mean wizard, Harry savagely said.
Oh, calm
Hermione
down.
nodded encouragingly.
Go on, Harry.
The tall Death Eater was wearing a shirt that said, Hermione has forgotten how to dance, and so Hermione dipped his face in mud.
Dipped. That's
Ron
delicate.
threw a wand at Voldemort.
Ron's misunderstood magic.
It's-
Take that! Voldemort's just
you
like...
fucking snake-nosed prick.
Ron's the best character in this so far because he's stupid, a narcissist.
You'll be pleased to know that he's slightly outstripped by a soon-to-appear Dumbledore.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He's my
Dumbledore
favourite.
has the best line of the whole thing.
Good. As he should.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's only fitting.
Yeah.
Ron smiled. Ron reached for his wand, slowly.
So it was someone else's wand he threw at Voldemort.
Ron's the handsome one, muttered Harry as he reluctantly reached for his. They cast a spell or two. That's so good. So, like,
Just
apathetic.
burying the lead that was the battle for Hogwarts.
Yeah.
So they
There
cast
was a
a
couple
spell
of
or
spells
two.
around the
Voldemort peeled apart like a disgusting onion.
and jets of green light shot out of the Death Eaters' heads.
Oh.
Ron flinched. Not so handsome now, thought Harry, as he dipped Hermione in hot sauce. The Death Eaters were dead now, and Harry was hungrier than he'd ever been.
I don't like that relationship.
The Great Hall was filled with incredible moaning chandeliers and a large librarian who had decorated the sinks with books about masonry.
That's such a detailed bit of world building.
But so, like, irrelevant and yet really apt.
So specific. It's great.
Mountains of mice exploded.
Oh.
Several long pumpkins fell out of McGonagall.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Dumbledore's hair scooted next to Hermione as Dumbledore arrived at school. The pig of Hufflepuff pulsed like a large bullfrog. Dumbledore smiled at it and placed his hand on its head. You are Hagrid now.
What does that mean? The pig of Hufflepuff pulsing like a bullfrog has replaced Hagrid in what sounds like, if you filmed that, it would be such a tender moment. The music swells. Richard Harris's lovely blue
It's definitely
eyes.
Richard
Yeah,
Harris.
it's Richard Harris Dumbledore. His lovely blue
Looking at
eyes,
his half-moon
kindly
glasses.
face, just peering over as he looks and he smiles.
Camera's
because-
like looking up at
yeah,
him.
yeah, and it's like da da da. It's like, oh, we know what they've been through.
You are Hagrid now.
The bullfrog will probably, the pig,
Give him a kiss, probably.
yeah, probably just pulse ecstatically, and then we'd have a big wide shot of everyone clapping and throwing their hats in the air.
You are Hagrid now.
Goodness.
We're the only people who matter. He's never going to get rid of us, Harry, Hermione and Ron said in chorus.
That would be the creepiest scene in the film.
The floor of the castle seemed like a large pile of magic. The Dursleys had never been to the castle, and they were not about to come there in Harry Potter and the Portrait of What Looks Like a Large Pile of Ash. Harry looked around and then fell down the spiral staircase for the rest of the summer. I'm
did you
Harry
do this
Potter! Harry began yelling. The dark arts better be worried, old boy!
No,
That
this
is the
not
end.
a robot.
That's the end.
That's incredible. He fell down the stairs for just the whole
For the rest of summer.
That would solve one of my problems with the books, is those boring bits where we go back to the Dursleys and he's just increasingly trapped in a comical prison before being able to get out.
Yeah.
Like the Whomping Willow bit. No, the car has to come along and like pull his window off. I always found that.
It's only
silly.
book 2.
I know. I was already checked out. Not really. I love those books. Well, that is phenomenal. If robots are at this stage now, then we'll be out of a job within
1
minutes. Shame
God,
City's
the
going to be run
robot
by my
podcast.
Google Home.
Yeah.
Hey, Google, do you want to be on the podcast?
My apologies, I don't understand.
Not yet, then. Try a bit harder. Lovely. Well, thank you for bringing that into my life. It was worth the wait.
That's all right.
What?
Quite my pleasure.
There's no possible way I could thematically link that cacophony of images
To
anything
anything.
I have to say.
No, well, me neither.
I'm going to tell you about, because I promised it a while ago, about this revenge update.
I
So,
like that you made a notepad list of 2 things.
yes, well, easily forgotten as it's shown by every week where we fail to bring stuff up. To recap, I was burnt bad. I got what we call Florianed after the time that Declan was
Do we have to
ghosted.
mention this every time? I'm sure
I am going to
our
bring it up
listeners
again.
remember.
Declan, one time, he'd spent all these hours doing, what were you writing about? Binary options.
Binary options.
Binary options trading, which, let's remind ourselves, is a scam.
Very big scam.
Don't go spending your medical
Great way to
savings
go to
on it.
fund your chemo.
So Declan was there writing articles about how people who are dying of terminal illness should like bankroll the small minute-to-minute stock trade on the back of a prayer. And then all of a sudden he didn't get paid. And I thought, that's quite funny. I was sorry for you as well, of course.
No, I'm sure it really came through.
It did. Well, no, at the time I probably sent you a really like friendly like
No,
message of concern, like, I hope you're okay, man.
no.
Hope you're doing all right. We'll get through
no,
this.
you said-
there'll be more.
You said you'd
Florians.
messaged him and he'd said, oh, no.
Not going to have a payment of
No,
him.
but you still worked for him. So that's fine.
Like
Good
a
to know you
scam.
had my back.
No, I think that was around the time that work really dried up from Florian towards the end of that year anyway. But the same sort of thing happened to me. I'm pleased to say, definitely for less money. Just in case you were worried.
Wow, thanks. No, I was scared for you
No,
there.
no, it's fine. Don't worry about me. I wrote some stuff, sent it over, person vanished. The invoice remained unsettled. Now, I wasn't happy with that. So what I've done in the intervening couple of weeks now, must be about 3 weeks, is try and like work my way closer. You'll remember that I'd invented some characters.
You had.
Paul. Can't remember what the girl one was called because I'm just logged into them all in an incognito tab. And with them, I'd been trying to ingratiate myself in this person's life a bit more. I've given him some free content in so doing. As
good.
a bit like that bit in Harry Potter where Dumbledore goes with Harry to that sea cave and he has to give, does he either cut and put some blood or does he write an article for that wall?
Oh no, put some blood.
Oh, the blood
Some
that
blood
time.
on it.
Yeah, that was probably the other Horcrux where you had to do
Write
some
some-
SEO
Yeah.
before Voldemort let him in to drink all that lake.
Keywords.
Yeah. So that was there, and I sent it across. It was a kind of rehashed one I'd already done to gain favour. All the while, I'm working the psychological angles. I started playing these characters off each other because they were all in this fiction from the same place, and he was only looking to hire one more person. So
Competition was stiff amongst yourself.
yeah, it's been an intense. I've been running around here.
Did you
making
get like
calls.
too involved between your various personalities?
I very
Start,
much.
infighting with your own creations.
Yeah, I made whatever the other guy was that wasn't Paul. I've just ruined him. Like he's never going to work again in this industry. I've made sure.
He's killed himself.
Pretty much. He might as
the
well have
balcony.
done. For all the writing work he's going to get in the next decade, let me tell you, might as well just be dead. But Paul and the woman, I can't remember what I said she was called, they've been kind of competing, staying in his life, gradually working their way into his trust and confidence through just friendly chat, checking in, all this sort of stuff. Now, I eventually happened upon an email address from him that was like one step closer than the one I'd first had, which was just like content.stealer@gmail.biz or something. I now had one that had a first name dot something generic at gmail.com. So I did my usual like intense stalk of that and found a LinkedIn profile, but it was a LinkedIn profile for like a corporation. But when I say corporation, I mean it's
Him.
It's him with a clip art as his picture.
Good. Right, yeah.
And that quickly became a bit of a dead end. I made an account on LinkedIn, I'm afraid to say, luckily to a fake email address.
Yeah.
I don't want that bullshit in my life. And dived in to see what I could find. So I found like an approximate area that we were working in and I found like the school he'd gone to, so this sort of vague stuff. But then it occurred to me to check, or rather I had checked already, but I hadn't checked for a while, what had become of any of this writing that I've done. Because this stuff usually works. What with it being bullshit that we're writing.
Oh God.
And what with, people don't
Undoubtedly.
care what's there. So
No.
there's no process of like, yeah, we'll send that across and then we'll get the editors to look at it. We'll write something from it. put
We
it
are
on
the
site.
editors.
Yeah, we are the judge, jury and executioner of copywriting. So I'd been Googling every few days to find out if anyone had published any of the things. And they hadn't until I set up a little Google alert. Ping! There it was. It's quite similar to the Florian article. It was about like, who are small money transfers? And it was an article.
And what do they want from
Yes,
us?
that was the phrasing of it. Like literally, I had to write who they are. And I was like, well, what do you mean who? He was like, yeah, just say like which people they are. I was like, but it's not a person, is it? It's the act of transferring a small amount of money. And he was like, yeah, not a lot to work with.
But what's the
But what makes
what's
them
beneath
tick?
the surface?
Yeah, let's get under the skin.
are they? What are their dreams?
Paint a picture. So I wrote a poem about it. No, I didn't. I wrote just a normal, very boring, like, oh, if you want to transfer money but you haven't heard of the bank or PayPal, why not try one of these probable scams? One of these probable scams has become an ally of mine, and that's the one that published this article on their site. And they were called something like comparemoneytransfer.com or something. Something
Cumbersome.
Yeah, but they always are, aren't they? So that you just, like, when the URL is just what you'd search, you know that it's dodgy.
Yeah.
So they had a contact form. They had a phone number. They were based in London, they said. I gave the phone number a ring. It did that weird thing where the quality of the dial tone changed about 12 times, as I imagine I was being, like, routed all around the gaff. And eventually a man answered, and he answered in a different language.
Good.
So I did the classic English thing of, you just speak louder. That's how it solves the language barrier. Hello, I'm looking for...
Mr. Small Money Transfer.
Who are he? Luckily, this man did speak English. He told me, rather than the 0207 London number that I called, however, he was based in Bhutan.
Oh, nice.
A country that you very rarely hear from
Deal
these
with,
days.
certainly.
But luckily,
Have you ever transferred any small money?
not via a small money transfers.
Oh, right, I see.
Because what I don't want to do is pay for their extortionate fees and fund that kind of exploitative, like, first generation immigrants who have to send money back home to their family, all that kind of cycle of poverty.
Oh, you're not...
Bullshit.
You don't want to be complicit in that?
Not in a big way. That's why I use PayPal. The ethical
I
option.
see.
That was satire, guys, okay? Anyway, there I am. I'm on the phone to this man. He was very helpful. It turns out his job is that he answers the phone, the one phone,
yeah.
for all the branches of this company. And they basically, if you ever use a small money transfer, and in case it wasn't clear, we're strongly
This
advising
guy
that you
did
don't. This one company is basically all of them in disguise, in the same way that, like, Coca-Cola owns everything.
Yeah.
Every drink that pretends to be a Coke rival, apart from Pepsi, is just Coke by another name. So they've sewn up that market. They'd done the same thing where they'd be, like, recommending against using another one, so that if you use the other one, you felt like you were safe. It's a good bit of, like, marketing psychology. So he got me the name of that's like a shell company. He got me the name of the proper company, and it was something just as cumbersome and just as scam sounding. So I gave that a Google, and it turned out they were registered on the Company's House Gov UK website. So that's a real thing. And if you go on that website, it lists the officers, so like the director, anyone who's got some sort of role of note within the business. And the person who is director, it also gives you, like, a history, like a chronology of the business. And they'd recently, like, changed hands. They'd changed names from a slightly alarming, like, security solutions,
Oh, fun.
sort of a arms dealer / militia sounding company. So that was their past, though. They've moved on to bigger and brighter things, small money transfers.
Yeah.
And they had a name of a guy who was the director. So he was my new vector. I got on Facebook, I got on Twitter, I got on all of them. Bebo, I resurrected it, especially.
His Habbo Hotel.
God, there was all sorts. His Roblox, let me tell you, all over the place. And eventually I found his Facebook and sent him a message. And I regretted it quite quickly because I realised there was a bit of a weird interaction and I didn't really want it to come from my personal Facebook account. But that was already done. I got nothing from him for days. And then all of a sudden I got a message that said, here's my number. We'll speak tomorrow. Not, here's my number. Give me a ring. Here's my number. I'll call you.
We'll speak
Because I'd
tomorrow.
emailed with my number. So they could call. It was my fake number.
Yeah.
But a number that rings nonetheless. Here's my number. We'll speak tomorrow. So, okay. I thought I didn't reply. Or maybe I did. I might have been like, great. But the next day I was tutoring. I'd had a long lesson, and just at the end of it, my phone started buzzing as I was, like, leaving the house. And it was every East London gangster rolled into one man. You know how we talked about this maybe on the show before. I have a real admiration for people who in conversation are comfortable enough with their hold over a room, a person, a situation to just take these luxurious pauses.
Yeah.
Where they just know that you're waiting and you will wait for them. It's like the
you're
Don
not going to
Corleone
interrupt.
thing.
Yeah.
You just will sit there and be silent for a bit. Ian McKellen does it in all his monologues, and I think that's why I like them so much. He'll just be like having a chat and then pause for hours, and you're like, Ian, where are you going
What's
with
the
this?
next line?
Like his tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow.
What's the impetus for this pause?
Yeah, there's never one that anyone else knows.
Us to death.
Ian, come back! Don't follow the light, Ian. Sir Ian. Anyway, he did this a lot, and he was a scarily efficient man. Like, I don't want to call him out as being a definite criminal, but I mean,
Sure.
and if he listens to the show, I in fact will say the opposite. He's an upstanding member of society.
But could be a very successful criminal had he wanted to be.
Yes, there was a lot of that about. He was actually really helpful and nice to me, but in a very kind of odd, aggressive way. Like, he was like a kind of how you feel about like a football coach when you're quite young, and they're like usually quite big. Well, I guess everyone seems quite big when you're about 6.
Yeah.
But like big men with like a beard, and they're like giving you advice, but they're always a bit brutal about their advice. Like, don't kick a dead ball, son. Stuff like, yes, okay, sorry. And you think that they're like ultimately kindly, but it's just that the delivery method is very like masculine and forthright. That was his play, and he got really, really worked up as I explained like what had happened. And it's only $150 or something. I say only, like that would be nice for me to have, but it could be. It's not like he scammed me out of a house, but he was getting like so worked up. He's like, just don't like people taking the piss, mate. It just drives me mad. Honestly, it does. If he was in the UK, I'd get my boys. He kept referencing his boys quite a lot. He never said.
I'm sure he just means his sons.
Yeah, well, he kept
who are
saying-
really good at like diplomacy.
Yeah, a few times he went, I get my boys, and of course it's not in the UK, so there's nothing we can do about that. But he
my
kept
boys
doing
will
this.
stay caged.
Yeah, he
They'll
would
stay
never
caged.
quite say what his
No.
boys would do.
But we all know.
I mean, we do. Baseball bat Tony and his gang would be round there having a little party.
Big Pipe Tom.
Eventually, so he gave me
God,
the
that sounded like a weird porn name.
Big
I
Pipe
wasn't saying
Tom.
that.
Was it? That's horrid. It sounds like a very poorly chosen children's book character.
Oh no.
It's Big Pipe
Friends
Tom.
with Stig of the Dump.
He gave me a contact. It all felt very like I was in some kind of lock, stock, 2 smoking barrels situation.
Wow.
I was on the garden outside.
Imagine you being directed by Guy Ritchie.
I'd be great. What do you mean? I mean, I don't have the obvious visual type for a gangster, but maybe that's why I work. Tim Roth, he doesn't look like a gangster.
No, he does look like he could kill you though.
Yeah. You're saying I don't have that quality about me?
No, not necessarily.
Well,
No.
that's something for me to work on.
No, you're the person we'd cast as the sneaky type who'd just be a big betrayer.
No, I think I'd be the person behind the scenes where it's like Ra's al Ghul looks like he's some big Chinese man.
No, he looks like he's a small Chinese man, but really he's huge Liam Neeson.
Okay, wrong, bad example. But
Very
my
poor.
point is that there'd be a figurehead, and then the
What you
real-
mean is the Wizard of Oz.
No, what I mean is like a Gus
You're
Fring.
actually a small dwarf behind a curtain. Is that what
That's
you mean?
not what the Wizard of Oz
Yeah,
is.
he
He's
was.
not a dwarf.
He's very
You've
small.
confused him with a munchkin. He's just
That's
old.
him.
You idiot.
He's so
You've
very
misunderstood
small.
that film. Massive face though. All those lights on
Huge.
it. Loves
Can't
green.
get enough. He's like one of those like miniature football like figurines you
Subbuteo.
could get. Yeah.
That's him. Anyway, all that aside, I got a contact, which was an agency, in inverted commas, from which he'd commissioned this work. He was like, yeah, I don't really look at it, mate. It's all about just the Google hits, isn't it? And Bing. I almost laughed on the phone, but I didn't. Because he could...
Go.
Yeah, gotta get Lycos involved, or what's the fucking point? His search engine knowledge was impossible to fault in that regard. He gave me this company. That was my target. This was someone who, like, they hire out, I think if you're a business, you can, like, pay them a certain amount a month, and they'll just send you words. Like, you might as well be paying a robot for all the quality
Probably
that
better
you usually get.
to pay
I mean,
a
if it
robot.
could write like that, then yeah, definitely better. So, this was my new target. I looked them up, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
They had one of those impossible to navigate websites where, like, contact us is a big joke. The punchline to which is that we don't want you ever to be able to. So you have to navigate through, like, here's our live chat. It's accessible for precisely 3 minutes every week. We won't tell you which. Good luck. I had that up on my other screen for so long, just waiting for it to be, like, online at any hour of the day. Never. They had a phone number that didn't Oh no, they had a phone number that would cost you like £4 a minute to call. Good sign. They had an email support that wouldn't go anywhere. So I did the same thing. This is an American company though. So I looked up like details of the company and found the CEO and just emailed him directly. And the next day I left my number. I got a call from him. He was an American man who sounded almost alarmingly like Troy McClure, who is, what's his name? Phil Hartman.
Yeah, I think so.
He was just like the archetypal, smarmy, but quite friendly businessman. And I felt like I was in some kind of Darren Brown thing because he was talking so quickly and so assuredly, and yet so little of it had anything to do with my input in the conversation. It was like he was just trying to hypnotize me with some kind of sales pitch, despite the sales pitch being, I'm going to help you find this person. So he was like, yeah, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Don't worry about it. You can trust in me, which is only...
No. You got to do the accent.
I'm not doing the accent.
You got to do the accent. You can't not.
Hey there, guy!
Well, howdy.
Well, there, boys. I'm going to track him down quick as you like.
Get my boys on it.
Brandine, where's that rider gone? Sorry to all of our Southern American listeners, but we've already slagged you off so many times. Although, well done not voting for that paedophile.
Only
Hats
just though.
off.
If you're a black woman listening,
then well done.
thanks. If you're anyone
one of
else,
those horrible whites, go and check yourself, Alabama. Anyway, where we are today, it's not resolved. He's been banned from that website, which is good.
that is good news.
I have, they have like a problem with freedom of information. So what I've been doing, my new approach is he was like really helpful, but up to a point where it's like, well, we can't just tell you where he lives or what this person's name is, because then you could just, that's not how companies work.
No.
So what I've done is, and I wonder if this is a crime I'm about to admit to. I don't think it is. I have never said I'm a lawyer, but I've strongly implied that this new character, also called Isaac, it's pretty clever, is a lawyer.
Right.
They're contacting the agency through, I said, my legal representative will be in touch, and in touch they were. They wrote a really beautiful email, actually, may I say. Yeah. And that's been sent across. They replied saying they're forwarding it to their legal team. To be continued.
Wow.
How's it made you feel?
It's made me feel
That there's justice in the world.
anticipated. No, not
That
yet.
there are people out there like me, superheroes.
You haven't actually achieved anything yet.
Oh, so much.
But-
He's banned. He won't ever be able to do it again. Unless he just goes to another
Yeah, but you
site.
didn't have to speak to 3 different gangsters to have him banned.
Why
from
is
this
everyone
one
in this
website.
world a gangster? Why is like the art of content writing only run by crime?
It's the worst James Bond film ever.
Hello, Bond. We need you to track down the person who came up with this adverb.
I'm telling you now that you absolutely could not use binary options to fund your medical treatment. This monster needs to be stopped.
Isn't that right, Moneypenny? That'd be dreadful. So yeah, that's where we are so far. It's all a bit disheartening, but it's given me something to do. And I've met some new people.
Exactly.
If we ever need to send our boys round somewhere,
Abroad.
imagine if we got a below 5-star review from someone in the UK.
Yeah.
I know who.
We get his
whose
boys over.
Big Pipe Jim, whatever you said he was called.
Big Pipe Tom.
That's him. It'll be round there quick as you like. Pipes and all.
Big Pipe Tom and Long Schlong George.
That's
They'll be
them.
out there in 1 second.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum of the beating you up industry. Danielle. There's a tangent.
Look, we've only touched briefly on Danielle. We listened to some of her book reviews.
Yep.
Wonderful they were.
Oh.
Insightful.
Inspiring. It's inspired me to never read again.
But we didn't really touch on all that's been going on in her life.
She's busy, isn't she?
Very.
Like, there is an element to this
She's
where...
a whole post about how busy she is.
Yeah, there's part of it where it's like, it's quite funny, the stuff she writes. But then there's an element of me that's like, her life's so interesting. She's going to food banks. She's giving Monopoly cards out to the homeless.
Well, here's the thing. She wants to change her.
Her what?
She wants to change her.
Oh, I see. Not her anything.
I want to change me,
Right, okay.
she said.
Wow. Is this because it's coming up to like New Year, New Me time?
Don't know, this was October 27th.
So no. Just before Halloween. You know how we all get.
But, I mean, this is, I think, where best to start with the
Yeah. Let's
update.
dive in. If you haven't heard anything about Danielle before, if this is all just nonsense to you, go back to Basingstoke Food Banks. There was an update.
There was an update after that.
Yeah,
a couple
probably
of
about
episodes
20.
later. like
Something.
late 20s, just before you went to the Fringe. It was.
Oh, great.
Literally
Okay, well,
hours before you went to
look
the
for an
Fringe.
episode from August,
Yeah,
mid-August.
we'll put in the description. where
We
it is.
won't, but lovely idea.
Yeah, where she went to Gay Pride.
Oh yes, that was an entertaining episode.
So she said, yes, I want to change me.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much debate every day. Are magazines influencing girls and women on how their bodies should look? Does celebrity body shaming force us to
Can I
want
just interject
cosmetic
quickly?
surgery?
I was teaching yesterday a kid who's really earnest but quite stupid, but is someone like there's no one happier to try and do the work than this kid that I've taught so far. And I was trying to teach him about how to write a good introduction, and I broke it down into levels where like level 1 is
There
just
is no such thing.
yeah, that's the key thing. But no, we were like, if you want to get like a level 1, I was trying to make it like a game, then all you need to do is just like write your thesis statement. Something like, in this essay, I will argue that X, whatever. And then I was like, level 2, we want to kind of persuade the reader round to our argument. It's good to start with like a context statement, maybe something about like a broad theme that you're going to be discussing, or like the history, like when Goblin Market was first published, it was considered controversial for its feminist undertones, but something like that. And his one that he came up with, he was like, right, okay, I've got it. We were doing Ozymandias, a comparison between Ozymandias and My Last Duchess.
Oh, you're doing the power and conflict as well.
Very, very dull.
Very dull.
So his theme, or the thesis of his essay, was about how Ozymandias is about how power decays over time, and My Last Duchess is about how it can persist through family and stuff like that. And just one more time, I told him that a context statement was going to be something like to entice the reader. It's like a slight persuasive exercise. We want to set the scene for our essay. Mm-hmm. And I gave him 15 minutes to write this introduction while I'll be honest,
Was on Twitter.
was checking all kinds of social media.
Same.
And at the end of it, he was like, okay, that's done. He was really pleased with himself. I was like, okay, let's have a look at what you've got. And he got his paper. The first sentence was, books are everywhere. In this essay, I will argue that
They
and it
shouldn't
just
be everywhere at all.
Then it just carried on to be the normal essay, but he thought that
That's a
all of that
context
was like.
when you said broad, you meant broad.
So that's what that Danielle one sounded like. It's
There
like,
is so much debate.
yeah, it's
every
like
day.
the most vapid thing you could say, but it does tick the box of start with a broad sentiment that
exactly.
the reader will be like, yeah, there is that debate everywhere.
She read a book about writing but didn't understand very much of it. I think yes, to a degree. However, everyone has their own mind and
True.
can handle the situation differently. This is
I don't understand that sentence. Is she saying she wants to get a degree, or she thinks yes to an extent? If so, what does she think yes about?
no. What she's saying is she think about do magazines influence
Oh,
girls
I
and
see,
women
yes.
on how their bodies should look?
Okay, I'm back.
Does
on
celebrity
board.
body shaming force us to want cosmetic surgery?
Yeah.
So yes, but also no. She says.
Right, it's fence sitting.
For me, I've always had worries. My nose is too wide.
Question
My
mark?
top lip is too thin. My hair doesn't grow.
That was a good rule of 3 escalation.
My eyebrows are patchy. My skin is awful.
Sounds like she's falling apart.
I know.
They're not things like, normally people be like, oh, I wish I was like a few pounds lighter. I get the nose one, that's like a common thing. Or people are like, just wish like, oh, I don't know, wish my eyes were a different colour. They're just so boring. Hers
My
are
hair
like,
doesn't
hers sound
grow.
like medical issues.
Genuine problems.
Yeah. My bones keep crunching their way into dust.
These are not influenced by magazines or social media. They're all things I see in the mirror when I look in the mirror.
Best time to see in the mirror, I've found.
But also, it seems to gloss over the fact that the point is not that
They exist in
the
the mirror.
magazine exists to tell you your
How
hair
you
doesn't
look.
grow.
Hey,
But-
Danielle!
But more that subconsciously you begin to doubt
Yeah.
it. I feel like she's not exactly going to engage with this debate on a level that is, well, anything really. Meaningful, certainly.
Fair.
Initially, I wanted to change all of these, but eventually I have up on the idea.
Okay.
Until this year,
That's a good use of a short sentence. ... Nice.
It all started when I decided to have my eyebrows microbladed.
Wow, I've never heard of that.
Does that sound
sure
like
it is a
sort
thing.
of torture?
Sounds like a sci-fi franchise.
It sounds like
Microblade.
this is a semi-permanent tattoo on the eyebrow,
Oh, I do know
done
about
in
this.
small flicks to look like natural hair. It costs £150 for stage 1, 6 to 8 weeks recovery,
Wow.
and then another £75. Doesn't seem to say that last £75 is for anything.
No.
They just ask you
They're just
for
like,
it.
oh, by the way, if you enjoyed our service.
The reason I wanted this was because I shaved my eyebrows off when I was 13. Little Miss Rookie thought she could make her eyebrows thinner with a razor. I have a blog post coming soon about my microblading.
Right.
I don't think it needs
No, I
much
think
more
we've
than
covered quite a lot of it, to be fair.
Since having this, I feel so much better. I
That's
don't apply
good.
makeup to my brow every day, and I feel so fresh.
Right.
She feels absolutely full of 90s slang.
That's lovely.
This little thing has made me feel better about my face and more confident. Now it has me thinking, what next?
Oh no, she's getting addicted to it.
I know this is tragic. This is like
She's
she
falling
started off
down
by
the-
saying to an extent, but also no.
But now
you
she's
can all
just-
we all have our own responses, and hers was exactly the response the magazines want.
Heat magazine wins in the end.
Next year, I plan to have my teeth professionally whitened in a salon, as I'm conscious about my smile. I also plan to either have microblading lip liner to define my top lip, or lip filer.
Why is it called microblading? It's a very strange name.
It's one that sounds more horrible than
Yeah.
it is.
If it was just, oh yeah, we do like dark ink tattoo, so it looks like there's something there. It's probably quite a cumbersome name on balance. But
.com.
microblade.
I also plan to visit a dermatologist to start a plan of treatment for my skin.
Hmm.
I know this is a lot of change, but I've suddenly thought if it's going to make me happier and make me more confident,
That's fair.
then why the hell not?
Yeah, I can support that.
I've always been in the frame of mind that you should never change you.
Oh, well, not always.
And I stick by that.
You don't. No.
Don't change your personality for anyone. You are beautiful, but your skin's
Horrid.
shit.
But you're falling apart.
Eyebrows
facially.
all over the gaff. And don't change your looks for anyone. Brackets, my boyf hates the idea of me wanting all of this done. But if it's going to make you feel happier, make your mind clearer, then
Wow,
you should
like
do
a
what you
Jedi.
want. My top tips would be check out the places you're visiting, reviews, and before and after photos.
That's a very good tip.
Anything important like this needs to be super checked out. And sometimes it's better to pay more money than less.
More money first, 150, then
Then
75.
less 75.
Yeah.
Weeks later when they just ask for some more. What do you guys think? I would love to know your thoughts on this, as I understand it's controversial. Brackets, I hope I haven't offended anyone.
Oh, why does she think she would have offended anyone?
I don't know.
Bless.
Maybe like if we read it as an acrostic that says "fats fuck off."
Well,
So that was, that was from a couple of weeks ago.
that's interesting.
But
She's a relentlessly positive person.
let me tell you that 4 days later, all this change, I'm telling you, it's
no.
paid off.
Oh, it has.
It paid off
That's good.
because
She's
she was
now Prime
nominated
Minister.
by someone called Jess Clare for, and I can't believe I'm reading this aloud,
Okay.
the Versatile Blogger Award.
Wow! We've been at the start of this movement. I think that's off the back of our listenership
Definitely.
getting her nominated.
Even though we haven't actually said her name.
I mean, it's eminently findable.
Very, very findable. I'm very grateful to be nominated by Jess Clare and PAE Reviews. I love that I started my blog over a year ago and over 82 subscribers.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Better than I would have thought. Who are they?
I don't-
What are they getting from it?
I hope they're all our listeners.
It's just Matt 81 times.
I've worked alongside brands and how supportive the blogging industry is.
What?
It's not a sentence.
Doesn't mean anything.
I love that everyone helps everyone and that I'm involved in blogging groups. I think this award just show the nature of the blogging world. It truly
It
does.
really is a poor reflection. Versatile.
The rules are as follows. Thank the person who nominated you and link their blog post. Nominate 15 bloggers for the Versatile Blogger
Here
Award.
it comes. This is a pyramid scheme.
Share 7 facts about yourself.
Okay, I'm up for these. I'm pleased to know that this isn't like an awarding body. This is like one of those YouTube trends where they're like, we're all going to do that chubby bunny game. Do you remember when they used to do like...
No.
This is a video I'm making on the friend tag where you have to have like a friend in the video.
Oh, that's horrid.
It's dreadful, yeah.
So it's not really an award, it's just
It's
self-promotion.
just someone started it, yeah.
Dom's 7 facts.
Okay. Are they prompted by anything? Do they ask questions that she has to answer? Or is it just because this will be very telling?
7 facts about yourself.
The 7 things that you think of will be very revealing.
My favourite animal is an elephant.
Cool.
I think they are beautiful
Oh, there's more to it.
and intelligent.
No one needed you to qualify.
I really want to meet one in the wild. to meet one.
Get
How
its
do you do?
opinion on Brexit.
What do you think
of my
about magazine influence? 2, I've visited over 14 different countries and Basingstoke, ranging from Iceland to Egypt.
Are they supposed to be the opposite because one's cold,
Cold
and
and
one's
one's
hot?
a
That's
desert.
100% how mine worked in that sentence.
This year, I've been to Thailand for 2 months.
That's cool.
I've been with my boyfriend for 7... This is fact 3.
Oh, right.
I've been with my boyfriend for 7 years.
Wow.
We met when I left school, and we have been so much.
That doesn't make... We've been so much. When I left school, just made it sound like when it was time, just on one school day, rather than when she moved on to the next stage of her life.
Yeah. My mum is from Caribbean island called Grenada, and my dad is Irish.
That's an interesting mix, isn't it?
It took me 7 times to pass my driving test.
That's a shame. You
Not
shouldn't be
a
allowed.
surprise.
Is there a cap on
No.
failure? Why? It's the most obvious rule. If you fail it 3 times, you shouldn't ever be allowed to look at a car.
I think there might be like restrictions on you have to wait a certain amount of time after you've
Right.
failed it.
Is
so
that
many
to see if
times.
you develop the ability to drive in the intervening
Well, it's so
period?
that you don't like just go away, have one more lesson, and then come back and try again, but that you actually.
They make money
hopefully
on
try.
that though, so I guess it's in their interest. It terrifies me that people can drive. I think about it every so often when I'm crossing a busy road, just like the amount of people who can barely walk on a pavement.
Yeah.
The amount of people who can barely like hold a conversation.
But that's I think the sole reason I passed my driving test was I was like, look at all these fucking deadlifts who can drive. If I can't do it, that's
Deadlifts on the road.
ultimate admission of failure.
Yeah. I just don't want to be anywhere near them.
You passed your driving test, haven't you?
No, I've never taken a driving test. I've not.
So,
of course, I would pass it.
6. No, it's all right.
100%.
It's all right. If you haven't got the balls to take it, then don't worry.
I'm the Michael. Oh no.
6. Now I don't know that you're going to like this.
Is it pulse based?
No. 6. I have webbed toes.
Oh, I didn't like it. What? How did that not get a mention in the things you want to change?
I know.
Leave the eyebrows a few months. Sort out the fucking fish fins.
Microblade your feet
Microblade
apart.
them out. Oh.
I know I can't swim better because of this.
Who's asked that?
And yes, I am gel of people hose socks with toes.
No. Even if that sentence did make sense,
It's a no.
it's so deeply wrong. Socks with toes. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Gloves for the feet.
Yeah.
Burn it. That's disgusting. I saw someone walking around with shoes with toes.
What?
I
No.
went out of my way
that
to kick a bit of
doesn't-
gravel at them.
That doesn't exist.
100%. They're
No.
like plasticky. They look
No.
like
Not having it.
someone's just stepped in vulcanized rubber and
Not
it's stayed.
having it.
Ugh.
What's the advantage?
None. Why would you want to draw attention to the fact that you have feet? They're gross.
Specifically toes. They're the worst
They're
bit
just
of the foot.
worst thing. Ugh. Cut them off, I say.
Number 7. My favourite food is chicken. I would rather eat 1,000,000 chicken wings than chocolate. I love it.
That's so many chickens. Specifically, 500,000.
Well, 500,000 2-winged chickens.
Oh, that's true.
You're not taking into account all of the disabled ones.
That's fair.
So
all
she's
those
been nominated
mutant
for an
ones
award.
are through.
Haven't actually heard back that she won it.
No, well, I'm not.
So there
going
is a
to hold
chance.
out much hope.
There is a chance that she didn't.
That would be weird, wouldn't it? You're telling me that in the whole blogosphere, there's no one surpassing Danielle's output.
I don't know.
It's weird, isn't it?
Seems that there might be. We've got one more,
Okay.
which was November goals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, we haven't actually had an update on the November goals. So
I like that, though. She
There's-
gives you the premise and lets us think about the answer.
I think it's more that she probably didn't achieve them.
Or that.
Yeah. 2 months until the end of the year. It's come round so quickly. It's easy to slip off now. Forget goals and get distracted by Christmas. Brackets, ooh, sparkly lights. Stay focused.
Wow. She should do a tour of like Bond Street around Christmas where she gets tourists to enjoy it and then reprimands them for not focusing on weight loss.
And she's done this little picture here,
Okay.
which will become more apparent in a bit.
For listeners, which all of you it's like a diary looking
It's
thing.
a diary-looking thing with, in pink, various topics, and next to them a selection of numbers from 1 to
Interesting.
various.
That's compelling content.
As always, I'm writing down my goals to commit to them. Once I've done one off of each goal, I colour in the number.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a weird system.
These are my goals in number. 1. 15 gym sessions
In the month?
in the month.
Right, okay.
These are for November.
That's a lot, isn't it? How often do
One
people go
every
to the
other day.
gym? Bloody hell.
2. Read 2 books.
Okay.
3.
Didn't she have a goal of reading books in one of our last blog
Almost
posts?
certainly.
I'm sure it's more than
She
2.
definitely
Yeah.
revised down her
Yeah.
aims. 3. 4 Mask Mondays.
Sorry.
Mask Mondays is
Masked Monday.
Mask Mondays. It's where she does a face mask.
Oh, okay.
For the blog.
For your skin.
Yeah.
Right.
But also,
What's
one of
the
her,
written appeal for a blog of me putting on a face mask? if
she
I'm
does a
going
little
out?
video.
Oh,
with it.
right. And tells you what? How good it is?
Yeah.
How patchy it makes your eyebrows. Wow, the
All the good
patchiness
it's
is
doing a
really
horrid
exemplified.
skin. Although the most recent Mask Monday was done on a Thursday.
Oh,
So-
no. She's a wild card.
4. 2 sober weekends.
Okay. That's a very solemn goal.
5. 8 MAs booked at work.
Wow.
Don't know what those are.
No, we don't know what she does, do we?
No.
No, well, we'll never find out.
6. £6 lost.
Okay. In a
What I
month.
don't like is that some of these are kind of themed around the number in the list they are.
Yeah, it
and others
sounds
aren't.
like the 12 Days of Christmas.
But they're just not. 2 was read 2 books. 3 was 4 Mask Mondays.
And 5 was 8
Yeah.
MAs.
7. And now this one's possibly the most depressing. 2 charitable favours.
Favours, implying that you get something
She
back
wants
from
something in return.
it. Wow.
She'll give.
I'll give you £1
She'll
now.
she'll give a Monopoly card to a hopeless.
Yeah.
But she wants them to compliment
Forgot
her
about
skin.
hopeless. Oh dear.
The hopeless. 8. 5 Wednesday weigh-ins.
So 5 was 8 MAs and 8 was 5.
Wednesday
Just
weigh-ins.
flip them, Danielle.
9.
I don't like all these alliterative days she's created for her own life.
No. 9. 8 blog posts.
Stop doing that.
10. 4 room cleans.
Which room?
And 11. And I don't know what this means. 15 instructions at work.
Just give them. Just,
Give them.
Or follow
Take
them.
them.
Yeah.
Either.
Oh dear.
My overall goals is to be successful at work, lose weight, up my fitness, and make sure my room is tidy and my mind is clear.
She likes this clear mind business, doesn't she?
On page 2, I've written myself reminders of why I wanted to do each goal in the first place. If in doubt, I will refer back to my goal.
Doesn't it quickly become, have you ever looked into things like the Pomodoro method?
What's that?
It's this really popular time allocation / efficiency to-do system where you I can't remember because it's ages ago that I looked at it, but it's very well known that you spend 5 minutes doing something and then give yourself a minute and then 10 minutes and then a 2-minute break or something like that.
okay.
It's something like that.
Some more bullshit.
Yeah, doesn't it very quickly, whenever you look into apps that deal with to-do lists or systems, mnemonic systems for getting stuff done, everything is simply worse than just writing a list and then doing the
do
things
it.
on the list.
Just do
It
it.
just becomes like a sort of Dan Brown-esque plot.
You
where
spend
have
so
to,
much time setting up
Yeah.
this system to make you more efficient that you end up with no time doing the things on the list.
You've run out of theoretical time to ever recapture the efficiency you've lost by just thinking about something as banal as the Pomodoro method.
It sounds like pasta as well, so I'm
does.
not on board.
Self-help, which this comes under, is the biggest scam ever. It's just feeding on the hopeless, but not in Danielle's sense.
No.
There's not a lot of self-help targeted at the homeless, actually.
The Pomodoro method has...
They've not taken off in the homeless community. No, interestingly not.
The Pomodoro method has reminded me of a great tweet I saw earlier that was, your Star Wars name equals your favourite pasta dish with a random space in the middle. Mine's Carb Onara.
Oh, that was what I was about to say. That was going to be mine. What other ones work for that?
Pomodoro.
That's a good one. What was that great tweet you sent me that was like, the bad thing about Star Wars is some people have amazing names like...
Oh, yeah. I can't remember.
Well, let's make it up because I remember the punch.
It was like...
Dozak Quick Force.
Yeah.
That was shit. And then some guy's just called Gary Spaceship. Greg Spaceship. That's so funny. Oh, dear. I've got one more story.
Go on, then.
Well, the last one. Oh, no, it was a story, so here I go. This happened... This is my tutoring update. Yesterday, I've been teaching these twins computer science, which I'm just deeply unqualified to be teaching at all. But, you know, we make do. And it's just always, I maintain that my utility is that I can read and pass a textbook faster than a child.
Yeah.
Makes me sound really like proud of that.
Yes!
I can read faster than a kid.
Come on, then.
Come on, guys, get me a certificate in that. So there I am. It was a 4.5 hour lesson. Well, technically 5 hours with a half-hour break for lunch. Bullshit.
Nonsense.
Half hour? What can I do in that? Nothing. Had to walk to Costa. The lights went off. None of them knew what to do. Power cut. Anyway, there I am teaching this lesson. And for whatever reason, we were talking about, like, I don't know, some computer science thing about like databases maybe. And about, oh, that was it. We were doing like a Harvard inspired course. There's this Harvard computer science course that I was teaching them. And, they were interested in how much money you can make as an academic, because I was like telling them that Harvard is one of the most expensive establishments in the world. I think one of them worked out that they would take like 1.68 billion a year on student fees alone. It's pretty good. A professor there gets 200 grand, I think, a year. And from that, we were talking about like salaries in general, because another thing that happened that kind of thrust this theme was that the doorbell went. And weirdly, it's a really beautiful house. It's the one I told you about where like a housekeeper came to greet me.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they only drink bottled water in the Susan Beetlejuice manner. So you know that they're like doing all right for themselves.
Yeah.
And also they're being homeschooled entirely as of a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And so it came up that the cost of that was running at like $2,000 a week, something like that, something mental. So we were talking, oh yeah, so the doorbell went, and despite it being this beautiful house with like an amazing car outside, like gates and stuff. I sound so impressed by gates as a concept. They've got gates and all. They've got this doorbell that sounds like when you walk into a corner shop, it does that. It's this horrible electric little nudge in your brain, like, oh, there's someone there. So that went in the middle of the lesson, and I think the dad was in the garden or something, probably shooting a poor person to death for sport, hunting a fox into the next life. And so one of the kids had to get up and answer the door. And he came back looking really like bemused. And he was like, that was weird. I was like, well, what happened? He said, well, I didn't know that when the bin man comes and says Happy Christmas, you have to give him money. Which is a great way of describing this interaction. I mean, and to be fair, I've never been around to tip the bin man.
No,
I guess like, I'm sure it's happened because yeah, it would, like, my mum would have done it. But I didn't know that was a thing either. So we were talking about that for a bit. I was like, well, how much did you give him? He was like, yeah, 10 hours. Seemed all right, yeah. But he said that it was a great awkward moment where he was just standing there, because I think they're in year 10 or something. So they're like 14, 15. But they're both really big, so he looked like he could be a lot older. Mm-hmm. So I assume the bin man was kind of like, had guessed that he would know the protocol here, that Happy Christmas equals give me some money.
Yeah, please.
And he was like, I was just standing there for ages. Like, after I'd said Happy Christmas, I was like, what else do you want? So this went on. We got talking about salaries, and eventually one of them was like, oh, if it's not a personal question, how much do you get paid for this? I was like, I think it's 30 quid an hour or something, which is not great for teaching 2 students.
No.
And it's also...
But when you're doing it for 5 hours, I suppose.
Exactly. That's why it's a chunk of time
that
works quite well for me. And I had nothing on in that time slot anyway, so I took it. And it's like my first job with this agency, so I'm getting in their good books to get more stuff. But they were like, 30? That's so weird, because we pay £50 an hour each to the tutoring agency. So if that session with me costs them £500, of which I get 150, 30 times 5, maybe even 30 times 4.5 if they're cheeky. And so the rest of our lesson was completely derailed by their outrage at this. They were like, you're being scammed. Like, you should be getting more than that. I was like, well, yeah, I probably should.
Yeah.
But they don't tell me how much you pay. And they're like, but we're getting scammed. I was like, yeah, you are. We're all getting scammed. So the next hour of the lesson.
Have you heard of business?
Yeah, it became, we discussed, like, we were talking about Marx for the whole hour. And they were like, I was explaining what class consciousness meant to incredibly rich, privileged.
Homeschooled £2,000 a week.
Yeah. But so we were talking about, like, this thing of in business where it's really taboo to discuss your salary with your colleagues. And they were like, but why? Like, surely if you knew that you were being paid less, then you could do something about it. It was like, well, that's why.
There we go.
But it was a really amazing, it's the only moment so far of my quote unquote teaching career that's been like, that was actually worthwhile. Because they were just so appalled by the naked, just dreadful, exploitative nature of this transaction in which they're paying £100 an hour for me. Like, I've never said to this tutoring agency, oh, by the way, I know everything about computer science. So if you've got anyone that needs that's paying you above the odds, get me, I'm your guy. I think I'd maybe put that I had an IT GCSE because we had to do it. And on the back of that, they're paying £100, £500 for a day with me walking through a textbook, whilst I get not even half of it. It's mad, isn't it?
That is nonsense.
So the takeaway for me is that less of this English and more, we're going to just go out, start a revolution with the children.
I'm in.
Like a kind of, not a Pied Piper figure, because there's a lot of negative,
there's a
cave
lot
murder.
of...
Does he kill all those children?
No, I thought
he drowned them.
I thought he did bring them back in it.
What's the difference? Is it the Pied... Who's got the mice that they're leading out?
Yeah, that's him.
So what are the kids doing?
Well, because he leads all the mice out of town. He's like, you're going to pay me for that.
Pay him.
It's very similar.
Wow, it is. What a link.
And he's like, well, I'll take the kids then. And they're like, yeah, right.
If that's a mouse flute.
And then he's like,
pipe.
got a different tune for that.
Come along, kids, follow me. All the mice are like, what's this? Used to be playing our tune. Yeah, so I think we need to people are very receptive to these ideas. I've never seen so crystallized. Like, I'm someone who's always open for talking about politics with friends. I strongly subscribe to the idea, this, we've talked about this before on the show. There's that acronym that's it's something really grim. It might be the word rape is the acronym that they send out as actual materials, like salesmen of topics you shouldn't talk about. Religion is one, politics is one. Can't remember what the others are. And
Rape.
That's the A. A is actually apes. People have some pretty conflicting opinions. We're on battleground. But yeah, so I've never agreed with the idea that you should put politics to one side in a friendship, because I think it's so fundamental. Like, if you're someone who thinks poor people just don't deserve to live, then we fundamentally cannot get on. Yeah. And so in all my years of discussing and debating and people changing their minds or not responding to arguments or understanding bits but not the rest, I've never witnessed that penny drop moment so clearly. So I think it's our role to transition this show into what I'm going to call a national platform.
Right, okay, well, I'm on board.
A kind of what should we call the party there if we were going to run? I guess shame kind of has quite a profoundly negative connotation that may not sell with the average voter.
Maybe not. I'm voting for the shame party.
For too long.
Maybe it's too relatable then. People will.
Maybe. We'd be accidentally thrust into power.
Yeah.
Like the Pied Piper before us with his powerful flute. That was him.
For mice and children.
Look, have we had any emails? Because I sure don't remember. We have actually. We've got 2. Toby, oh no, we can't do this in this episode. But we've got a great Roy Moore.
We have an incredible. We'd even mentioned it earlier. We should have brought it up then.
Yeah, the episode's run over. We've got this from Mark though. Isaac and Declan. Proofreading a letter drafted by our legal team, they start with the following sentence. Both aforesaid parties hereinafter collectively referred to as, quote, parties, in caps. What is it, Mark says, with legal people loving the use of archaic compound words? It's almost as if they were trying to work within some early version of Twitter or SMS protocol and were wanting to minimise the number of characters, including spaces, that they use. This, of course, is not the case, as generally they can use incredibly lengthy and complex structures to say something that is relatively simple. Ultimately, they developed a language that only they can write and interpret. Classic job protection. So there is a link there.
There we go.
With what we said. Another interesting item I came across today was a message from our corporate IT department. Another link. God, I'm good. They will be installing some new software on our computers to manage our passwords. I don't know if you can see from here, but for some reason, across corporate and computers are in a different font and really small. So it looks like he's trying to send me a secret message.
Oh, no.
Across corporate computers received. Mark, I don't know what it means, but I'm coming to your rescue. The message I received from them read, Hello, did you know hundreds of millions of passwords are stolen each year? That's why we provide a storage tool on your workstation so you can store your password securely. KeePass. So this program, according to their message, is called KeePass. That's KeePass. Online, they capitalise it differently. Key, pass. I assume this is meant to be read key, pass. This doesn't work so well in audio.
No.
But of course, it can easily be read, as it was by me, keep arse. Did the creators really miss this when naming their program, or was it a deliberate act? Regards, Mark. Now, Mark, I'm thoroughly on the side of deliberate act, I think. I think whoever came up with it was injecting a little levity.
I don't know. I think, like,
think
after
they're that
that
thick?
Amazon thing,
Oh, tell about that.
well, those who follow us on Twitter will have seen that I posted.
Is that at That's a Shame cast?
That's a shame cast.
Right, and there's some good content that I'd want to see.
Definitely.
Posted
We're-
regularly.
We're doing stuff all the time now.
Yeah, I'd
We're
say
actually
so.
doing that. That's not even a lie anymore.
No.
Because it was for months.
Until about 2 days ago.
But I shared a photo from the corporate facepalm subreddit. Not that all of our content's rehashed.
What? Back
Derivative, but it was of an Amazon listing for a small children's tent, Native American style.
Yeah.
But they hadn't said that, or indeed anything even more sensitive than that. What they had done was to call it minority style tent.
Oh, that's a shame.
Minority style. Style.
Can't stress enough.
They couldn't even be bothered to mention which
specify.
minority.
Just that. it's one of those minorities.
Oh, I don't
what style tent is that? Just minority, mate.
I reckon that they there was a kind of conversation between at least two people about it, and they were like, "So Indian tent, yeah?" And they're like, "You can't say,
Ooh,
they
you
can't
don't say
Indian.
that anymore, mate.
You can't say
Come on.
Indian anymore. That's touchy stuff. You can't. We don't go there anymore."
But we've got that team called the Redskins.
What about the Redskin tent?
No,
No.
that's even
no.
worse.
That's very touchy at the moment.
Bloody
Very
hell.
touchy at the moment. They're really.
Have you read
not
any of the
into
think
that.
pieces?
Okay, what else have we got? They're not Inuits, are they? No.
No,
That's
it's
them.
different.
What about Navajo tent?
It's a bit specific, and we don't want to make any claims that we're not backing up. The print
No.
might be wrong.
Yeah.
It might not be specifically we haven't done any. You didn't do any research into the design of the tent. did you?
No, I think I just watched Peter Pan.
Yeah, and then just made our best guess.
Yeah, scribbled it down.
Yeah.
Got it in.
I mean,
in
what-
lycra.
What do we call them? They're just a minority tent. Is that
Well, it's
what
not a minority. Well,
I guess it's not the tent.
No, but it's minority style.
Say that again.
Well, it's in the style of a minority.
Minority style tent.
Minority style tent. Now, who could that offend?
Well, we've name checked the minorities themselves.
Yeah. So
If another minority doesn't think they're getting a piece of the pie, then we've kept it vague.
yeah, we can do minority style shields, spears.
Nice.
Yeah, minority style,
Oppression.
ghetto tats.
What?
Well, not ghetto. We would say We would say
Urban.
ghetto.
Say urban.
We don't even just minority style. We could just maybe this is a
That's a
brand.
whole brand.
This is a brand.
MS.
This is a product.
MS. Well, this has been episode 56.
Buy your MS tent for just $7.99.
Yeah, sorry about that. Look, that was a big role play, so you can't do us for it because none of those are our opinions, and we were satirising the very clearly wrong-headed approach by what was the company? It was on Amazon,
remember.
but it was called like Dickhead Tense or something.
We should also say that this is a similar kind of role-playing voice as we've used in many of our Patreon poems.
Oh yes, especially that one about the Confederacy.
Well, not especially,
But
but
certainly.
definitely.
Yeah, you want to check those out. One of the rewards on Patreon at the can't remember which tier. It's above Comptroller, but below on the bench. You get an Instagram poem. They're not actually as of yet on Instagram, but we do them in the format of like Rupee. I can never remember how I say it.
Core.
Rupee Core style of like simple background, or in our case, weird image, nonsensical verse on a theme of your choosing, or one that we've like specifically chosen for you. So check them out on Twitter at That's a Shamecast. We'll also put them on Instagram, which is at That's a Shamecast as well, I think.
Yeah.
Why not? And we're also posting, we recorded the writing sessions, like just the audio. So there are some, if you feel like you need a few more clips of us, there's about 20 minutes worth of content writing 4 different poems that will be up on on the YouTube channel.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of all the social media, say I was sitting at home and, you know, I'd come across a password software that was telling me to keep arse, or like Toby, I'd found paedophile Roy Moore's best attempt at poetry. How would I communicate it with us?
Well, what you could do, you could, as we've said, tweet on the Twitter.
Yeah, big fan. How many characters have you got these days?
I don't know. It doesn't even
Many
tell
as
you
you
anymore.
need.
Just got a big circle, and until the circle's full, you've
it.
got as many as you want.
Just keep spouting.
So the show, as we mentioned, is at That's a Shamecast.
Yes.
You can reach me personally if you wanted to just get in touch with
I don't know why you would.
me. Well, not that
Because
anyone,
I'm at Isaac
not
BD.
that anyone ever has.
Oh,
either.
bless
but,
you. I
But
get
if
it a
they
lot.
did, if it were the case, then I'm at Cynical Deck.
Yeah. And I'm at Isaac BD.
Oh, you have mentioned it.
Yeah,
It's
no,
fine.
just in case they didn't hear the
all-
first time, though.
All heard
It's
you.
ISAAC. And then just
ISSAC.
BD, like, no, it's the one S.
ISSAC.
No.
You could email.
Yeah, my personal email is
No, so you can email the show tass at shame.city.
nice. Like task without a K. That's how I remember it.
Yeah. Is it now?
No, it's not. There's a contact form over at shame.city.
He types out task and then deletes the K.
I only
just
type
to
with
make
one
sure.
finger as well. I actually use one chopstick. to
Hunt
type.
and peck.
Yeah,
you can
contact form at shame.city. That will wing it right over as well. We love to hear any questions, anything you come across, articles that are funny, anecdotes that you have, questions, thoughts, feedback, all of that over there. What else?
That's it.
No, reviews. Shame.city/reviews. We'd love some. It's December. Make your Christmas present to us either patreon.com/shamecity or going over to iTunes in whatever country you happen to be in, dropping a 5-star review. The nicer the things you say about us, or at least the more outlandish. What
more
I'm looking
likely
for
we
is
are
like
to
with my
say.
students' essays. I want you to have a stance and just argue it. So we'll read it on air. Mailing list.
Podcasts are everywhere.
Yeah, that's the spirit. Shame.city/mail for the mailing list. We'd like to give a particular shout
Yeah.
out this week to, because we both get an email when someone joins, don't we? And it hadn't happened for a while because we've kind of, I feel like most people who are going to join joined quite early. So we've had like, our bench was already there. But every so often we get one. And the most recent, Kira, we don't know who you are. We've not heard of you before, but thank you for listening. And welcome to the mailing list. We should probably email out the password for that one password protected episode. If you'd like to hear that one episode in which we perhaps unwisely distance ourselves from the podcasting community, but then wisely keep it locked away, then get on that shame.city/mail. Until then, someone's coming in at our door. That's someone getting takeaway. Until then, we're going to have a normal episode next week and a bonus episode on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. What do you think?
Christmas Day.
But no one's going to have time to listen on Christmas
It's
Day.
fine. It's about the spirit. No one's going to listen to it on Christmas Eve either.
I would, but that's because I am one of us.
A real narcissist.
That's me. Yeah, so we don't have to wish people happy Christmas on that now. But in case you don't listen to the next one, have a lovely Christmas.
Yeah, do.
And there'll be plenty of content for you to get involved with if, like me, you don't enjoy being around much of your family for much of the time. Although I should stress that the family I'm with at Christmas, I do actually like.
That's good. No, that is good.
Yeah.
Because
Rest of them are cunts, though, may I say.
massively.
Family is just friends you haven't asked for. On that note, I've been Isaac, you've been.
I've been Declan.
And this has been episode 56. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder, my new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you.